Today, we're diving into KATSEYE, the new global girl group from HYBE and Geffen Records. Now, they were formed on a reality show, launched with this massive industry machine behind them, but almost right away, a really serious wave of fan concern started to build around how the six members are being treated.
And this conversation, it goes way beyond just the music. We're going to get into the major controversies, the allegations of this intense corporate control, and the social media firestorms that have fans seriously worried about the well-being of these young women.
For a lot of fans, the alarm bells really started going off with one song in particular. It all began with their track Gnarly, and frankly, what people found hidden inside the music was, well, it was pretty disturbing.
So here's the central claim that just blew up all over social media, that an audio sample, taken directly from an adult film, was actually mixed into the song's production. For a group that's marketed to a young audience, this was like an immediate, massive red flag.
And get this wasn't just some fan rumor. The whole situation just exploded when the producer, a guy named Pinkslip, showed up in a video clip where he literally played the isolated sound and seemed to confirm where it came from. You can imagine the shock and just total disbelief from the fan base.
What makes this whole thing so much worse is the age of the members. The youngest, Yoonchae, was only 17 years old, a minor, performing this song. And fans were quick to point out that in a lot of the live performances, she was the one singing the line right before that controversial sample kicked in.
The backlash was, exactly as you'd expect, swift and intense. People immediately started questioning the judgment of the producers. I mean, with a minor in the group, how could this happen? And the outrage hit a whole new level when everyone realized they'd performed this exact song at the Kids' Choice Awards. It just made the whole thing seem even more wildly inappropriate.
For a lot of people watching this unfold, the Gnarly incident wasn't just some isolated mistake. They see it as a symptom of a much bigger issue. A corporate machine that seems to treat its artists less like human beings and more like products to be sold.
Critics started using this term, adultification, to describe what they felt was happening. The argument is basically that these young members are being pushed to adopt this hypersexual image through their choreography, their clothes, everything, long before it's age-appropriate, all in the name of profit and getting attention.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole conflict. On one side, you have the artists who, probably want creative input and authentic expression. But on the other side, you've got these label demands, which, according to fans who've analyzed this, include things like generic lyrics, making sure no single member outshines the others, and keeping their social media locked behind paid platforms. This feeling of corporate control also led to some truly bizarre brand deals. There was this collaboration with 5 Gum that included items many fans called just plain creepy and objectifying. We're talking about marbles that matched their eye colors, and most alarmingly, a room spray that was marketed as containing the scent of each member's breath. Just wow. And then, maybe the most disturbing allegation of all, came out of an online blind item. Now, this is basically an anonymous gossip story, so it's completely unverified, but it claimed that the youngest member, Yoonchae, is forbidden from dating because a powerful label executive has, quote, special plans for her. The suggestion alone was just deeply unsettling for fans.
So, on top of all these external pressures, there's also public evidence that suggests some internal struggles are going on. Fans have been meticulously tracking with they see as conflict and maybe even unfair treatment happening within the group itself.
A big part of this conversation has centered around one member, Manon, who fans believe is being systematically sidelined. They're pointing to her being left out of key promotions and brand deals. And this concern is amplified because she's the only Black member, and it all seems to trace back to the Formation show, where other contestants kind of created this narrative that she was lazy, a claim her fans insist was just born out of jealousy.
These tensions then just spilled out into the open in a huge way. During an appearance on the Jimmy Fallon show, of all places, a member named Daniela was asked who she'd swap bodies with. Her answer? She said she'd pick Sophia because she's, quote, really good at lying. This was on national television, and it immediately came across as a really harsh public insult.
So of course the backlash against Daniela was severe, so much so that Sophia had to issue a public statement. She insisted it was all just a joke between friends and asked the fans to leave Daniela alone. But for a lot of people, that on-air moment just looked way too awkward to be a prank, and Sophia's response felt a lot like necessary damage control.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together for a second. You have the controversial song, the objectifying merch, the apparent internal friction, and this intense corporate control. It all paints a really concerning picture. The story of KATSEYE starts to look like a case study for a much bigger question about the music industry today.
And this fan comment really just cuts to the core of the fear, doesn't it? That the whole system is built to debut artists as young as possible, not to nurture them, but to, as they say, milk them of everything they have before they have the power or the agency to fight back. It's a process that a lot of people feel is fundamentally dehumanizing.
And that leaves us with this final, lingering question. These groups provide entertainment for millions of people, but the story behind KATSEYE really forces us to ask, what is the true price being paid by the young people at the center of this massive, profit-driven machine? In this global factory of fame, how much room is really left for their humanity?